Hello, I wanted to make a video for people who are out there getting started on their weight loss journey. Um, I really haven't been making videos about what I was doing to lose weight or even the fact that I was going to even try. The only thing I put out are some videos of me in my electric bike, but in this video, it's going to be non-stop. There are no special effects, no quick cuts. So if you have a short attention span or you need to be entertained, this might not be the story for you. I'm just going to keep this simple and to the point of what I did and how far I've come. So to begin, just for a background and perspective, in the 90s, I was competing in bodybuilding, and I did that because when I came out of the military, I was sick. I don't know why I was sick. I got out of the military in '89, had these flu-like symptoms. And you know, when you're that young, because I went in when I was 17, got out at 25. And you know, when you're that young, you think you know it all, when actually you don't. So some things can happen to you, and by the time you find out, you're well into your 50s of what the truth actually is. But I'm blessed that I survived it. And so for a period between 1990 and 94, my health was fluctuating. It got so bad that even when I got out of the military at 150 pounds, my weight dipped down to 125. It was so bad. I remember when I was buying clothes for work, there was a lady at Sears at the time helping me, and I was kept trying on clothes, and I ended up at the end of the rack, and I tried the clothes on, pants on, they were too big. And this was one of the most, this is what got me into bodybuilding. And she says to me, I'm sorry, but this is the men's department. I said, yeah, I'm a man. She said, yeah, but this is the smallest size. Evidently, the man's sizes only went to 28 on the waist, and they were too big for me. I had to buy clothes out of the teenage boys section, because I had lost so much weight from being sick. And this is as I was starting to get better. And so it was just a very embarrassing moment for me. And that's what got me into weightlifting. I had a friend, and I went to talk to him about it. He knew I had been sick. And I told him I felt well enough that I think I want to start exercising. I didn't know anything about dieting for weightlifting. But what ended up happening is my body responded so well to the weightlifting that I ended up competing in bodybuilding. I didn't have major success. It's just that I was able to compete. I could get on stage. I won a few trophies for third, fourth, fifth place in my height class, and I competed for like 5 years. So after I stopped bodybuilding is where the problems started. Because even during bodybuilding, I still wasn't 100% healthy. Still had bad habits. Like I hadn't quit smoking. I hadn't quit eating junk food. That's processed junk food from McDonald's and Burger King. And I was still eating Twinkies and Hostess Ho-Hos and all that other junk. But on the other hand, I would I would get supplements and stuff like that. But when I stopped bodybuilding is when I went full out junk food junkie. And I'll say from 2000 until 2021, about 21 years, my weight ballooned from 175 to 245. My waist was about 50 inches. I was carrying about 60 pounds of body fat, maybe 70. I had a body fat percentage somewhere, it would drip between 28-30%, but my BMI was off the scale. Even this year, I was still trying to drop. By this time, I had probably dropped about 20 pounds. I was from 245, and this March of 2023, I was 225, and my blood pressure was still high. It was ridiculously high. And so I got really aggressive this year. And so what I did, when I first decided I was going to start losing weight, the first thing I did was I cut back on eating junk food. That's eating junk food for fast food restaurants and eating junk food out the grocery stores and the convenience stores. So now I'm going to show you something. There's one junk food that I still eat. Just to get this out the way, this is the one. I eat this Smart Food popcorn by the pound. I eat this at least 3 times a week. It's the only thing I allow myself to have. This is the treat. And the other snack that I have is, this is Annie Chun's organic seaweed snacks, if you've ever had that. So those are the only 2 snacks that I allow myself to have. And so I cut back. Just cutting back with no exercise, I went from 245 to 235. And then I went from 235 to 225, and I still had not started exercising. So last September, I bought an electric bicycle. I started riding that. The other thing I did is I started walking, but I did my walking a little different. I did 20,000 steps in Reykjavik, Iceland. I did 20,000 steps in Paris, France, 20,000 steps in London, England, and 20,000 steps in a variety of islands in the Caribbean and the Bahamas. So I went traveling and walking. I felt like it was something I needed to do just to clear and reset. And then I came back home and I rode my bicycle even more while I was researching dieting techniques, hydration, and workout techniques, trying to settle on something, because I knew I could not just jump back into weightlifting. And so I was still weaning myself off junk food. And so between September of last year and June of this year, what I had decided is that if I was going to eat out, I would only eat out at a restaurant that was cooking real food. So I had a couple. Now I don't eat out at all. I cook all my own meals. And so if I was still having sweet cravings, I would only buy cakes from one person that I knew was baking the cakes herself from her store. And so I must have eaten, even when I was still in this process of dropping weight, when I went from 225 to 210, I was still eating sweets and whatnot. But anything I drank, I would make. So the base of what I drink is a mix of apple cider vinegar, which this is my refill bottle, and I buy this gallon jug here, and cayenne pepper, which I bought this cayenne pepper off Amazon, and you see it's half full. And what I do is I refill my little cayenne pepper. I don't think I have it in here with me, but I have a cayenne pepper container like this, and sometimes I'll put a little Himalayan sea salt in this, and sometimes I'll squeeze water in here, but this is all I drink. I either drink plain water, or I mix apple cider vinegar and cayenne pepper in that, and that's pretty much all I drink. I drink green tea. And so as I was cutting back, I eventually stopped eating cakes, and I had stopped eating out altogether. And then I started fasting. So I did short fasts. I would do 6-hour fasts. It don't sound like a long time. For me, it was torture. Then I moved up to 12-hour, 24-hour, and then I eventually did a 72-hour fast. After that, I now every day do 12 to 14-hour fast. So I either stop eating at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. and then I do not eat again until 6 in the morning the next day, or 12 or 8 or 9. It just depends on what my workout schedule is. I also every day, regardless of how I'm eating, I don't eat a whole lot. So my life doesn't. Let me give you an example. Any true junk food junkie knows about Popeyes chicken, or yeah, we'll use Popeyes. So what I used to eat from Popeyes are their chicken breasts and their biscuits. But what I would do is I would take the biscuit, split it in half, take the skin off the chicken breast, and I would put 2 packets of the strawberry jam on that chicken skin, and I'd make me a chicken skin sandwich. I'd have 2 for breakfast, 2 for lunch, and 2 for dinner, plus all the other desserts that I was eating, plus all the other food. Sometimes I'd eat 2 breakfasts in a day, 2 lunches, and in DC, you can eat your way around the world. I would go through pans and pans of chicken wings with the mambo sauce, and then there's this restaurant in DC, which I shouldn't tell you this. There's this restaurant in DC called Duccini's at the corner of 17th and is it U Street? Yeah, where U Street, Florida, and 17th split up, in 18th Street. It sounds crazy, but there's 17th. You come to 18th, Florida is here, U Street meets. Right there, there's a restaurant called Duccini's. They have this ginormous slice of pizza that's bigger than your head, and it is the best pizza in the world. And I used to murder them pizzas, excuse the French, but I used to eat them every day without fail. And so I that's how I put my weight on. And so now, give you an example of how I eat now with using my seasonings. Like I even use organic cocoa to season my food. I use this is Ceylon cinnamon, turmeric, black pepper, and Himalayan sea salt, cayenne pepper, and apple cider vinegar, coconut oil, and here is some olive oil. This is from Italy. I think it's promoted by the Pope. And what I eat now, in this 1 can of beans, a serving size is a half a cup. Typically these have 3.5 servings. I'll split this and this can of tuna fish. If I'm eating light, I'll split this into 3 meals over the course of a day. And sometimes I'll split it into 2 meals and I'll season it up, and this is all I'll eat in a day. Or if I'm eating chicken, I'll split 1 chicken breast into 3 meals. But whatever I eat, I'm typically done by 6. And right now, the way I took my approach was, because I had so much body fat on my body, I looked at that body fat as potential energy. So instead of eating and eating and eating, I would use the concepts that I heard from some of the dietary coaches and people like Greg Doucette about staying in a calorie deficit. I don't eat that much, and through my workouts and my fidgeting around and stretching, I let my body just eat itself to get this fat off. Because let me tell you, I was so fat that when I used to sit on the couch and eat, all of this was stomach. And so I could set a burger on my stomach, and then when I needed to eat, instead of have to reach to the table, I could just hold it there and eat it right off it was just disgusting. So how much have I lost so far in cutting calories? Eating between 1,200, I eat between 1,000 and 2,000 calories a day. That's it. If I do that bag there, this bag, I think there's 160 calories per serving. So this bag here is roughly 1,100 calories. If I have one of these in a day, then I only eat 1 meal a day, and I've still been losing weight. So where I started at my heaviest, I was 245. Today I'm 196, probably 196.5. but I feel like I'm still too heavy. I'm going to see what my measurements are like once I get to 185. And if I feel like I'm still too heavy, because I remember what I looked like and how I felt at 185. Of course, now I'm more athletic and more active now than I was back in 2012 when I was 185 before. Um, and so once I get to 185, I'll take some more measurements. Right now, my heart rate has cut in half. My heart rate would drift between 120 and 140. Now my heart rate is between 55 and 65 beats per minute. And my training, I use a mix of animal movement, calisthenics, and gymnastics training, and flexibility training, and nerve reactive training. So you have to figure out what kind of training you want to do. Like, I don't do cardio, for example. My cardio consists of me riding my bike for 3 miles one way and then 3 miles back. So I might do 6 miles in a day, but I stopped walking, for example. I do sprinting, short sprints of anywhere from 20 to 25 yards, but tons of calisthenics and whatnot. It's what I enjoy it. And I do weightlifting 3 times a week. So when I mix that up over the course of 7 days, I exercise every day of the week. And it's mixed between flexibility stretching, calisthenics, gymnastics training, animal movement, and the nerve reactive training, which you need to look that up for yourself. It basically involves, you being put in getting in these positions. They're not very comfortable, but it's to train your brain to relax and accept being outside of your comfort zone to increase your movement ability. I'm not doing anything exotic. I don't take any pharmaceuticals, no drugs. The most thing I use is rubbing alcohol and hydrogen peroxide in case I cut my hand while I'm working out or anything like that. I stopped using fluoride toothpaste. I use hydrogen peroxide and baking soda. But besides, if I were to simplify what I'm doing, I basically cut my calories. I stopped eating so much and I started exercising. I got rid of all my luxuries. And something I'm going to tell you, which you might not like, but it could be true for you. You might look like the people you hang around, and you might be doing exactly what the people you hang around do. If the people that you hang around eat junk food, then you're going to eat junk food. If the people you hang around are alcoholics, drug addicts, they love company. If you're being stressed out from people, stress can lead to that excess cortisol, can lead to you eating for comfort, and lead to you putting on excess body weight. If you are in the position where you can simplify things around you so that it's easier for you to concentrate on yourself, I would suggest you do it. The thing is, and it's not to make it a racial thing, but for black men who take the steps to just focus on ourselves and our own health and take command of our own health is not something that's looked at positively, and it's not easy to do, because typically you'll find that people will still do the things that can be disruptive, and you have to really be cognizant and aware of that. So there's things I don't do, like I don't eat Thanksgiving dinner, I don't eat 4th of July food, I don't eat Christmas dinner. We, in our society, just basic American society, we have multiple holidays that are centered on overeating, gluttonous face stuffing, eating way too much food, way too many times during the day. And the human body doesn't even need the calories. We have enough energy in our bodies to sustain, you know, and actually for your well-being and your mental health and your physical energy, the less you eat, the better you'll feel. And that's pretty much what I've done. So I've lost nearly 50 pounds, but when I set out my goal was I'm gonna drop 60 pounds and go from there. I got 10 more pounds before I get to my first goal and whatnot. So once I get to 185 and I'm at that first goal, because when I was 185, it was 2012. And between 2012 and 2021, 9 years, I ballooned to 245 pounds, fat as a pig. And so, if I'm gonna tell you, sounds corny, but if I can do it, anybody can do it. Because I was of the type, I used to look at other people's stories on YouTube and in magazines. I used to look at other people's stories that they lost 50 pounds. I'm like, God, that's got to be freaking impossible. Losing 50 pounds. But if you put on 105 pounds like I did, that means you can lose 105 pounds. I wasn't born 245 pounds. I ate my way to putting on 245 pounds. To going from from 140 to 245 pounds. That's 105 pounds. I did that to myself, and I did it by eating junk food. The first step I would tell you to do is start reading the labels when you decide you're gonna go buy anything, whether it's a food item or a drink item in the grocery store and it's packaged. Read the label. Read the label, because in reading the label, you will find that there is no difference. I mean, we've all been there in our youth between using drugs and eating that food that's made with chemicals. Those chemicals are nothing but drugs. It's just a different form, and it's a different type of satisfaction. And so you can either stay on the path you are, that's got you big as you are and feeling the way you feel, or you can stop. And I stopped slowly. And I'm honest with you, man. I have one processed food. And the reason I do that is to maintain realism. And I'm not out here trying to be drastic with my health journey and my weight. I don't think you have to be drastic with it. You can actually, the other day I was in the mountains of Virginia on a little trip, and it was a beautiful day. I was with my best friend from my childhood, and you know what I did? I celebrated. I celebrated because my favorite football team won another championship. And so I ate 2 sliders, 2 burgers. And they weren't very good. I'm going to tell you, so I eat these 2 cheeseburgers. I'm not going to say where they were from, but in eating them, back in the day, if I had ate this, I would have immediately later on that day went back and got more of those burgers. But as soon as I tasted them, I'm like, God, this is awful. Because I hadn't had no junk food in so long. And they were just nasty. It tasted nasty. I look forward to having my sour spicy water. Sometimes I'll put lemon in this. And I look forward, to having my beans or my lentil soup and maybe a dill pickle and things like that. I look forward to it. I cannot tell you how good it feels to eat and not be overstuffed and so bloated that I can't function. It just feels good. And so I would encourage you to, if you're starting, or if you're already in your journey, to keep it going. Because if you've lost 5 pounds, eventually you're gonna be the one saying that you've lost 50 pounds. It's gonna happen. I'm not done yet. I have more to go. So I hope you've been able to stick there with me. I'm gonna drop a picture. Ironically, it was taken in Memphis, Tennessee last year. So you can see what I looked like last year when I was on vacation. In this picture, I'm going to put on this. I'll probably put it at the beginning or at the end. But in this picture, I was 230 pounds. I was in Memphis, Tennessee for Elvis Week, because it was last year was the 45th anniversary of Elvis's death. Just so you can see how fat I was, and this wasn't even the fattest that I ever was. It's just what I looked like back then. And you know, it's coming. The weight's coming off and starting to get my muscular body back, and eventually I'm going to go out dressed like Luke Cage, but Luke Cage from the 1970s with the gold headband. Y'all be good to yourself. Take care.
It is that.
Bro, listen, I wasn't expecting you to take this much out.
That must is work, Harris. And you done did it 2 times already. So if you do some strong ones now, yo, you in shape, yo.
Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Oh my God, that's it. Woo! Lord have mercy, man.
Yep. There you go, yo.